Catriona Gray was just 13 years old when her mom had a dream that she would become Miss Universe, walking along the stage in a red dress. And on December 16th, just days before her 25th birthday, the woman previously known as Miss Philippines did just that. Now as Miss Universe 2018, Catriona is dedicated to changing the lives of other children to allow them to follow their own dreams. Let's take a listen to her talking about her platform.
I work a lot in the slums of Tondo, Manila, and the life there is it's poor and it's very sad. And I've always taught myself to look for the beauty in it, to look in the beauty in the faces of the children and to be grateful. And I would bring this aspect as a Miss Universe to see situations with a silver lining and to assess where I could give something, where I could provide something as a spokesperson. And this, I think, if I could teach also people to be grateful, we could have an amazing world where negativity could not grow and foster, and children would have a smile on their face. Thank you.
That's crazy. I'm sitting here like beaming watching that. I obviously was not the person who became Miss Universe 2018. And the one thing that I have to ask, I'm sure you hardly remember it, but I know Demi, who was the previous Miss Universe, was the one that crowned you, and I noticed that she whispered something in your ear. And every time I've watched this, I want to know what she said.
Well, actually, she was like, it's a little bit loose, so be careful it doesn't fall off. It was as practical as that. Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. My name is Catriona, and I've been looking forward to this interview all week.
Oh, I'm very excited.
Yeah.
Well, we have the crown right here, and I'm super excited about that, too, because it is beautiful, and I might just have to steal it. But I like that it was something as practical as that, because I thought it was going to be something like super inspiring, whatever, and that would have just gone through one ear and out the other at that point. So any advice I'm sure you could have gotten at that point was welcomed.
Well, I think at that point, I was just, you know, I don't know if you guys have ever known this, or like when you get into that situation and your adrenaline's pumping and everything's just happening at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and I couldn't absorb anything. That whole night after the crown was placed on my head just felt like I was in a dream state. It didn't feel real yet, which, you know, I know a lot of girls say this, but it's true. And then how do you even process something that would happen in a matter of seconds to be announced as Miss Universe? It really just takes so long to sink in.
And I mean, it's not your first time being crowned and getting an incredible title. So even when you became Miss Philippines, how does that compare to now becoming Miss Universe?
It's so different because competing for Miss Philippines, I really just feel like I'm a candidate. I'm not representing my country just yet. So when I do get the honor of knowing that I'll wear a Philippine sash, I really wanted to embody it in every aspect. So even as a Miss Philippines, in my wardrobe, I wanted to showcase the Filipino textiles, our fabrics, our silhouettes, and our symbolism. And I researched about our culture and our history. And, you know, there was so much more weight to it. It wasn't just, I'm candidate number this. I'm a Miss Philippines, and this sash is not just lettering, it's a country. So there was that weight, yeah.
Definitely. And even hearing you talk about that, I can't even imagine then getting whisked away to New York, of all places. So you were in Thailand representing the Philippines, and then you get taken to America. And it's just, it's so much, and I'm sure you kind of just lose track of who you are, what you're even doing in those moments. Now that you're settled here, is it crazy to think that you're representing the Philippines, but now you're living in the U.S.?
No, definitely. There is that whole realization of, oh, wait, I'm not just speaking mainly to Filipinos anymore. I'm speaking to a global audience. And with that comes an amazing platform, but also I really have to learn as I go along, like, wow, what an amazing and huge responsibility I've been given. So I'm really just learning every step of the way. Actually, after I was crowned in Thailand, in Bangkok, I was able to go back home to the Philippines. So I hid all Christmas. Because we haven't done any media. We're going back for my homecoming, but so I was a hermit for Christmas and New Year, but, you know, everyone was just so excited. Everyone's spirits were so high. And, you know, just to think that I was able to bring that kind of joy to people that I've never met, to see the reaction videos and everything was just, it really overwhelms me. And it really just makes me feel like, wow, I was able to bring joy to people. What an amazing thing.
And you talking about that universal platform, I think you're kind of the perfect person for this role. You grew up in Australia, your dad is Scottish, and your mom is Filipino, and then you moved to the Philippines. You also went to school in the US?
Yes, I studied by correspondence.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you kind of have done it, seen it all, I feel like. So how are you going to take those experiences and living in these two very different countries and experiencing different cultures into your role as Miss Universe?
I really feel that growing up in a cohesion of cultures really made me have an open mind to how different cultures can be, the different traditions that they carry, how that makes them affect how they treat different people, how they go about their lives, the values that are ingrained to them. So I grew up with that, with the best of both worlds, I really feel like. And I had the pleasure of traveling a lot in my life. So I think it really helped me just have an open mind to be more understanding. And I think that's one of the beauties of a competition like Miss Universe, where you get women from all over the world coming together, and we get to share about not only like our favorite places in our country or to find out where we want to go, but also like how is it that we go about our daily lives? What are our values that were taught to us by our families? What was ingrained to us by our societies or our communities? And it opens up the most interesting conversations, and I think that's a great thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I even saw just doing some research and seeing what people were saying on Twitter. There were a ton of people from Australia that were like, wait, she's ours, which I thought was really funny. And also, like, was it weird at all to be competing against Miss Australia?
No, because I really feel like a Miss Philippines. I feel like a Filipina, and like a Filipino woman. It just so happens that when I was growing up, I was very much an Australian, and I think you can be both. I mean, because I did grow up with those two sides of the world, if you would. And I just thought it was funny that there was almost a war. Like, no, she's ours. She's practically a Miss Australia, but I am a Miss Philippines. But I can't blame them from being excited, from, you know, really feeling the high spirits of the season too. So I'll let them have that.
Well, you've also competed. You were Little Miss Philippines.
I was
you've rocked this title for a while. Can you tell us a little bit about those younger experiences?
I think it's so funny because everyone always says, like, this can't be your first pageant. And I try to tell them I'm really not a pageant girl. I never dreamed of being a beauty queen, which is true, but it's hard to justify when it's like, well, when you were 5, you were in Little Miss Philippines, right? Blame my mom for that. My mom and my dad are just the proudest parents, and I'm very blessed to have such supportive parents. And yeah, I was 5 years old. I did Little Miss Philippines. I don't remember much, but I know that in the talent competition, I danced and lip-synced to Stop Right Now by the Spice Girls.
That's amazing.
I had a matching silver outfit, and I was just, I was feeling myself.
I love that. And you were lip singing, but you actually sing.
Yeah.
So you went to school for music. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I have a master's certificate in music theory from Berkeley, and music is just something that's really been throughout my whole life. I grew up with 3 generations of music because my dad was born in the 40s, my mom was born in the 60s, and I'm born in the 90s. So you can imagine our radio at home is always skipping around the different generations, and I was always in school choir growing up. I was the leader of my jazz band. I was in musicals. So I don't know, I had never planned on pursuing music, but when I think about it, it's really something that I've always been passionate about. It's always something that brought me so much joy. So, yeah, it's something I definitely want to pursue. And actually, a month and a half ago, I believe, I actually released my first original called "We're in This Together."
Oh my God, that's amazing! I feel like you're like the true triple threat when I hear about all of this. But the one thing that you're talking a ton about is obviously your childhood and your foundation, your roots with your parents and growing up. And I think that's really important to your platform because now you're kind of looking to give back to children and invest in their education. So can you tell us about your platform a little bit?
Yeah, so of course, I grew up in Australia and then I found myself in the Philippines. I had never experienced poverty firsthand. Like, of course, I've seen it on the TV, on the news, on social media feeds, but when I was able to experience it myself, like being there and seeing it and sensing it with all of my senses and just seeing the reality of it, it impacted me so strongly. Especially, I found myself in a place called Tondo, Manila. It's literally within Manila, our capital city of the Philippines. And it's known as a garbage dump, where all of the trash from the city goes. And families there, the majority of them make a living from scavenging through the trash and finding and selling recyclables to feed their families. So if you can imagine, the scenery there is quite, it's very, it really impacted me when I saw it. And in the heat of the summer day, these families, they don't have air cons, they don't have proper homes. And if you imagine that impact on the children, where they don't even have toys to play with, but they find things in the trash. And, you know, some of them don't get the reality of an education. And maybe if they do end up going to school, they get pulled out early just to help their families make ends meet. So when I saw this, I was like, how lucky am I that I was born into a circumstance that I was able to be given an education? And these children were just born into this circumstance. It's not fair. So that's why I'm so passionate about education. Education also because I feel that if you give a child an education, it's something that they can never lose. And it's also a way to break the cycle of poverty. You know, if you give a child an education and give them a love for learning, they could have an academic career and then hopefully find work that could pull their family out of that circumstance. So I work with an organization called Young Focus Philippines, and they give free education and free access to quality education.
That's amazing. And I know you've spent some time with those kids as well, right?
Yeah, I've worked in Tondo as like, I help out in class, you know, with storytelling and, you know, the little games and songs that they teach the kids. It's really a creative environment that's colorful because we want children to fall in love with learning at a young age. And so I work a lot with the younger kids. I've also worked with some of the teens because a lot of them have dropped out of school or they just don't have an interest in school. So it's really engaging them again and finding something that they're interested in and want to pursue.
That's so awesome.
Thank you.
And speaking of your platform, I also have to tie this into social media a little bit because the Miss Universe pageants have gone beyond the time when social media even existed, but now I feel like it's such a huge part. And I couldn't help but notice that you gained 3 million followers in 2 to 3 weeks or something crazy like that.
It's crazy.
So what kind of role do you think social media is now playing in the pageant and then now getting your platform out there?
Like to first off say like that leap in followers was just, it took me by so much surprise because I still feel like the same girl from a year ago, you know? I don't feel like I've changed that much, but to see that I have such this huge platform now and so many people are listening to what I have to say, it really makes me want to orientate towards something that will really educate people, create awareness, do something more than, you know, show them a cute outfit or what I'm having for lunch. But social media has definitely revolutionized or transformed the world of pageantry, and not just pageantry, but any social cause that we like to lend our voice to, or how we inform each other, how we connect. And that's why I think it's a powerful, powerful tool that really has the potential to do so much good. And that's what, as Miss Universe, I really want to utilize as a tool to, as I said, educate, create awareness, draw people to causes that they might not have known about, or, you know, connect them to it in some way, somehow see themselves in that person or in that cause. Or so, yeah, I think social media is an amazing thing if used the right way.
I mean, I can imagine having 4 million followers is a bit overwhelming, especially when you get them like that fast.
Right?
You're like, what do I do? What do I post? What do I say? Everybody's listening. Everybody's watching. And including some of your fans are some pretty big names now, which I think is very exciting. I know that Tyra Banks actually retweeted one of your walks from the pageant.
I died. So we were having dinner after rehearsals, and literally I was just sitting there, and we're all tired, and I just ate, so I'm having a bit of a food coma, and I'm sitting there, and then I start getting tagged, and it's Tyra Banks. And I just look around to my table and like no one's noticing that I'm freaking out. And then I go to my friend, Miss Denmark in Sweden. I'm like, Tyra Banks just tweeted at me. It's crazy. And like, you know, it's the phenomenon of pageantry, the way that it's able to reach so many different markets or countries and people is just crazy. And to have Tyra Banks like comment on my walk, I was just like, oh my gosh, if Tyra approves, then I'm, you know.
Tyra approved, so that's all you need.
Right.
But even you talking about pageantry and touching so many people. I know that especially in the US, I'm not sure about in other places, but there is some criticism of pageantry and the whole idea of beauty pageants. So I wanted to know a little bit about your experience as Miss Philippines, if, you know, pageantry is looked at in a different way, or even how you combat some of those more negative criticisms.
I can totally see how some people can have a negative perception of beauty pageants, but I feel that that's drawn from a surface perspective. They don't really see the journeys of the girls themselves or what they represent, because these days, especially with the women that I've competed with in Miss Universe and the women that I've talked to, they all have causes, or they all have a bigger reason for wanting to pursue Miss Universe. And usually it's about the platform, which is so amazing to see, because I think we're also showing that women can be so multifaceted. Like, we can't just be a model, but you could be someone who also is a lawyer or a budding doctor, or, you know, we're so multifaceted. And I think when you really see what we're trying to represent, what we're trying to do with the platform of pageantry, that will kind of change some people's perspectives. As a Miss Philippines, we love pageants. Like, is it obvious? Like, we don't have Super Bowl, but we have the 3 Bs, which is boxing, basketball, and beauty pageants. And, you know, as a Miss Philippines, there is not even as a Miss Philippines yet, as a candidate, there is a certain pressure, because so many people get so passionate about candidates and who's competing and everything. And if I had to develop anything as a candidate, it was mental fortitude, because to be bombarded on social media with both positive and negative comments, it was really hard, you know, to always have a thick skin, because someone can say to you, hey, just don't worry about what they say, but there are times that something will get to you, a comment will hurt. So it's really just building up that mental fortitude that I had to do as a candidate. I just remember why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I've been doing my charity work for 3 years, which is longer than my pageant career. And that was just something that always anchored me in what I'm doing, made it worthwhile. Like, why am I pursuing this platform? This is the reason why.
I love those 3 Bs.
Right? Now when you think of Philippines, it's like the 3 Bs.
The 3 Bs. It's so funny, because when I was watching, I felt like the entire audience was rooting for you. And even when you won, it was like Philippines everywhere. So I can't imagine coming together with all these other contestants, like how that works, and how, you know, you have a little bit of a different motivation than some of these other people. And I can imagine you were looking out in the crowd and seeing so many people from your country.
Yeah, like I was thinking backstage, maybe I want to go out and do a little bit of a fierce moment here or whatever. But then I would see the Filipino flags and just the fans and their faces like just lit up. And I would break out into a smile. Like every time I stepped out onto that stage that night, every time I saw a supporter, heard the word Philippines or saw a flag, like the joy that would come over me that I was able to be there and give my country such pride. It just, like, I look back at it as one of the fondest aspects of my journey, which is the support, not even just from Filipinos, but from supporters all around the world. The way that they carry the candidates through and the way that they support them is just, you would never think that they would. But for example, I've had experience where supporters would be like, I know you're staying at this hotel. If you need anything, if you want late night snacks, if you want, a repair on a dress, tell us. And these are people that I don't know, but that they're willing to do that for you just shows their level of love and dedication just to support you. And I think that's really something special.
That's also the perks of 4 million followers. Because now you can, living in New York, you could just say, hey, I want some Shake Shack, and you'll have it delivered to you.
That's what Uber Eats is for.
Also, did that kind of support just on that stage in particular give you some sort of comfort that maybe made the pageant a little easier, less nerve-wracking?
It definitely, makes my spirits high all throughout. Just to hear, every time I step out, I can hear the support, and that alone just makes me feel like we have a phrase that laban, which means fighting. So I just wanted to give my best, just to make those people proud, that they came all the way out there. Look how they're supporting me. They deserve the best performance that I can give.
Amazing. And then since we're in New York, I just have to ask, you've settled in. How long have you been here?
5 days.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Settled,
fresh.
I guess. Yeah. What are you most looking forward to about living in New York?
There's so many things to do.
Yeah.
So many places to eat. So many things to see. I'm a little bit overwhelmed because there's just so much that I want to do. There's so many places I want to go, Broadway plays I want to see. I want to try and watch some live music. I want to eat everywhere. So yeah, I think really you can find everything in New York, and the people that you meet are from all different corners of the world, all different walks of life, and I think that gives it such an amazing energy. So I love it so far, besides the weather, besides the cold.
And winter, you're into that too?
I mean, trying to look nice while being warm is like an impossible balance to achieve. Can I just say, there are people who are amazing. I walked out the other day and saw someone in like ballet flats and a dress, and I was, what is their superpower? Yeah. Can they let me in on a trick or something?
And the best thing is everything inside is just like the opposite.
Right?
So you're freezing outside and then
toasty, like toasted.
Yeah. 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 You'll get used to it eventually, hopefully.
So. Yeah.
So now we're going to head over to some audience questions. I think we have one from Twitter.
Cool. Oh.
Okay, so somebody says, could you tell us the insecurities you overcame after winning the crown, or any insecurities you still have today? Good luck on your media.
I have insecurities just like anyone else. I think people have a perception that once you're successful, once you achieve a certain thing, that your life will be perfect, you'll never have a complaint, you'll never have a down day. That is not the case. Mm-hmm. I have bad days, or days where I feel overwhelmed, or like, am I doing the right thing? Is this the right decision? Or I just feel not put together today. I'm having a bad hair day. You know, just silly things like that. And especially as a public figure, there are so many people who have these expectations of me to always look a certain way. Like I have experienced, and I'm sure going forward in this year I'll experience, is people always expect beauty queens to be done up 24/7. Like we wake up with our hair and makeup on fleek. Which is No, not at all. So it's just things like that, dealing with people's expectations and just, you know, accepting myself for who I am. Sometimes I'll have a breakout. Sometimes I'll feel really lost and overwhelmed or emotional. You know, it happens, and I have insecurities just like everyone else. And it's just a constant pep talk I need to give myself every day. Is like, you know what? You might not be feeling good today, but you know, there's so many things to be grateful for. You know, just go out and have the best day that you can. Hope that tomorrow you'll be in a better mood. You know, just things like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then we have 3 in the audience.
Hi, guys.
Mabuhay.
Mabuhay!
Congratulations, and thank you for making us overseas Filipinos very proud of you.
Thank you, Pa.
My question is, aside from charity with the children, do you want to lend your platform to animal welfare or the environment in general?
Yeah, definitely. You know, as a Miss Universe, I'm not constrained to how many causes I can lend my voice to. And it's something that I really want to achieve this year, is really just make as much of an impact, positive impact, that I possibly can. Whether it be through the many causes or just quality, making a qualitative difference to a few causes. Whatever makes the most difference, or whatever opportunity I have, I want to take it. So definitely, another cause that I'm very passionate about is being an advocate for HIV and AIDS. And you know, it's just as something I'm passionate about is breaking down the stigma so that people can feel that they can just get tested without having that fear. So yeah, definitely. In my reign, I hope that I can really push as many causes as I can.
See, the woman does it all. I told you guys.
I try.
Hi, Catriona.
Hello.
Congratulations again on your title.
Thank you.
So I wanted to ask you, what was the best advice you had gotten from previous Miss Philippines title holders?
This piece of advice was from Rachel Peters, who is my predecessor. She just told me, take every day as it comes. Because she told me that you can get overwhelmed because it is such a high pressure environment. You know how much expectation is on you, but just take it day by day, which, you know, it's a very simple advice, but I really did apply it throughout the pageant. I would take every day as it comes. Because if you start out on day one and you're like, oh my gosh, they're watching everything that we do, or you overthink and you overprocess, and then you start to kind of coil up in stress. I just tried to be like, okay, I just have to get through this day, do my best on this day, next day too. So yeah.
That goes back to something that your dad taught you too.
Yes.
Right? I know
One
you had
small step at a time. Yeah, to reach your destination or final journey. Yeah.
That's awesome. And then we have one more.
Hi.
Hi. I'm a pageant girl myself. So what are some advice you would give any kind of pageant girl on wanting to be the next Miss Universe?
Okay. I wish you the best, firstly, in whatever pageant you pursue or whatever your dreams are in pageantry. Something that I really stay true to is what my values are and my uniqueness, if that makes sense. So for an example, I'm a very creative person, so I interjected that into every part of my journey. I was really hands-on in my wardrobe, to how my final look was, up to my jewelry, like everything. I was so hands-on, and so I felt that when I walked out on that stage, no matter what happened, I knew that I felt comfortable, I felt as beautiful as I could be, and that I stayed true to myself. And I think that's so important, because in pageantry, there will be people who may just have the best intentions as mentors, saying, you should wear this color, do your hair like this, walk like this, smile like this. But you need to have the final say. You need to feel comfortable. You need to feel like you, and that will shine through. Yeah, I hope that's helpful. Thank you.
Well, guess what? You walked how you wanted, and Tyra Banks approved it. So, well, thank you so much for joining us, Catriona. It was so nice chatting with you, and I wish you all the luck for your reign as Miss Universe.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. Thank you.